This isn't your happy little team-up, kids. Thunderbolts is what happens when the most broken Marvel characters finally attempt to process their trauma and reclaim their lost sense of self-worth. This movie reached into my chest, pulled out my soul, gave it a wedgie, then made it cry in the corner. I did not consent to this emotional mugging. I'm talking about the messy, ugly, what am I even doing with my life brand of emotional damage. Today, we're diving headfirst into Marvel's bleakest and most beautiful take on depression, PTSD, and one unhinged Russian dad bod charging into battle like a divorced gym teacher who just found out his ex is dating a literal war hero with abs that can cut glass. This movie is what happens when you throw Legion, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Everything Everywhere All at Once into a blender, chug that mindfuck smoothie, then invite everyone to a knife fight disguised as a group therapy session. Every character desperately wants to give some kind of purpose and meaning to their life, while also trying to cope with the haunting memories of all the terrible things they've done. But not in a corny, I have a dark past kind of way. More like, I wake up every day wondering if I'm even worth redeeming. Florence Pugh as Yelena, queen of deflection through sass. She's like if sarcasm was a coping mechanism wrapped in a tactical vest. She manages to make you laugh while you're actively grieving her childhood. David Harbour as Red Guardian. I want this big sweaty Russian meatball to adopt me. He's like the embarrassing dad who comes to your third grade science fair and makes sure all the other parents know how great your baking soda volcano is. He's just a big, hairy, emotional support bear whose only love language is cringe. And what about Bob? No, not that psycho. Bob seems like a normal guy who's a little too down on himself and could use a friend. As it turns out, he also has an extreme case of bipolar disorder. In his manic state as Sentry, he's able to effortlessly dismantle our plucky band of renegades, giving us the coolest scene in the movie. In his depressed state as Void, he becomes the manifestation of a black hole of despair, sucking people into an infinite loop of their worst memories. It's kind of like when my depression made a Spotify playlist and it was just 10 hours of my worst regrets, narrated by Werner Herzog. This movie nails the tone. It's gritty but not overly dark, funny but not quippy for the sake of it. The comedy is desperate, like I'm joking so I don't cry in public energy. The kind of humor you develop after the third time someone tries to assassinate you on your birthday. And this team doesn't just instantly click like the Guardians of the Galaxy did. Remember how we met Star-Lord and thought, aw, he's fun. These folks show up and you immediately go, yikes, someone should call a hotline. Yeah, they're messy, broken, and here's the magical part. They actually grow. You watch them earn your love. Thunderbolts isn't Marvel reinventing the wheel. It's Marvel finally admitting that the wheel's a little bent and maybe it's okay to show the wobble. It's a movie about broken people doing something slightly less terrible with their pain. No multiverse, no magic rocks, just trauma, regret, coping mechanisms, and the occasional midair body slam. Alright. Now that the business is out of the way, I promised you my thoughts on some disreputable scoundrels out there who like to poopy pants everyone else's party for attention and profit. So here we go. A few days ago, I had the distinct misfortune of tripping face first into a video by the Critical Drinker. Now, I was already aware that YouTube has become a breeding ground for anti-woke dog whistle enthusiasts, and I regret to inform you that this guy met and exceeded those expectations. Let's take a brief blood pressure spiking tour through some of his most important critical insights into the film Thunderbolts.
The movie begins with discount Black Widow, who's feeling sad and worthless because there's not much going on in her life outside of her work. And if that's not a neat encapsulation of modern feminism, frankly, I don't know what is.
Brilliant. Why should a female character be able to express actual human vulnerability without it being reduced to a smug punchline about gender politics?
John Walker exists for no other reason than to be wrong about everything and constantly mocked and belittled by the strong female characters around him. You know, like basically every other Marvel movie since Endgame.
Strong female characters. Fascinating. I must have watched a different movie, one where he started off as an arrogant, entitled dickhead, and then, grew as a person. You might call that character development? No, clearly it's just Marvel waging war on the white man yet again. How could we ever possibly thank you enough for your scholarly insight, Captain Dipshit?
Played by a disinterested Florence Pugh who practically faxes in her performance.
Yes, she starts the film emotionally muted, but I wonder if there might be some reason for that. Like, was she possibly portraying a character who feels unfulfilled and disinterested in life? Shit. Could that have been intentional? I wonder why she didn't seem as apathetic later on when she emotionally breaks down in one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. It's almost as if she's acting. Like an actor in a movie. What's that? Oh. Turns out she's receiving nearly universal praise for her fantastic performance. Well, shit. And then we reach the pièce de résistance.
I'll never understand why Marvel keep trying to make Yelena a thing. I mean, what exactly are we supposed to find appealing about this character? She's basically a shorter, dumpier, less appealing version of Black Widow.
What a deeply ugly, intellectually bankrupt thing to say. Even if you're allergic to nuance, and even Florence Pugh's cheekbones, maybe just don't base your entire opinion of a female character on whether she meets your jerk-off fantasy criteria, you fucking scumbag. If you want to hate a movie, go for it. There's plenty of movies I dislike. But don't pretend you're some brave warrior fighting to save the film industry when all you're really doing is spewing disingenuous rage bait for a paycheck. Sorry about that. Anyway, did you vibe with the depression parade, or were you emotionally stable and therefore deeply uncomfortable? Let me know in the comments. Cry into that like button, and subscribe for more emotionally scarring reviews that scream into the void, but like, with style. We'll get through this together, or maybe we won't. Stay broken, nerds.